think that's entirely what I was going for. I was just well, I actually don't know much about Spanish, or like I don't speak Spanish at all. So just saying muy bien, I'm not even sure if that's used as very well would be in English, because I think how they say very well. So let's begin, stuff like that. I think that's derivative from some sort of speech that some statesperson in the past had made, rather than just the figure of speech growing natural or like that. Anyways, welcome everyone to 5 of the Week. This week we're joined once again by special guests. Let's start with the more special of the special guests, since the other one is less and less special each passing week. Tomato is here. Hello.
Hi guys.
Um,
Nice to
what's
know I'm
going on?
special. Always knew that.
Even more
I'm all
special.
good.
All
Yeah,
good.
I mean, as good as missing the playoffs by one game can be, but
So bardzo dobrze. What? I already forgot. Anyways,
close
that's
enough.
close enough. So in the other corner we have Ser Good. It's hello Nepto. How's it going?
Hey everyone, nice to be not a special guest, I guess.
Yeah, you're still special, but
When
not
do
a
I get
special
my
guest.
co-host? When do I get my co-host signing on the door?
I actually quite like it that it says Danger Golding in the graphic, and I wouldn't be bothered to go ask Gorlab to make another one, just replacing the Danger Golding with another username or just taking it off completely. So I actually quite like the novelty of having it say Danger Golding, even though he's hardly ever here.
Head of
So
media approved. Let's go that way.
yeah. Even though he still won't repost them into the SBA network, even though I ask him each week, I guess. Well, not each week.
I could.
Oh yeah,
I've got
yeah.
the.
I'm just gonna ask. In the past, I had moderation rights for the forum because I
You
had to
were
do
keeping
even
the
much
admin
more. But
tag.
yeah.
Yeah, we can do it later on.
So once it's posted, anyways, here we have our number one topic. Well, let's just start with your two general feelings of the regular season. Tomato, you mentioned that they're missing the playoffs by one game. Of course,
Yeah,
it was a tightly contested race there.
very true. Yeah,
I think the preseason expectations that we laid out, where Nepto even said that he had tested in the sort of low 50s in wins, and I said I would be surprised that you end up much more higher than 500. And what do you know? I ended up being closer to the truth with the Rampage finishing the season with 43 wins only.
hey man,
Uh,
you jinxed it, okay?
I think it was just. I don't have any that sort of black magic skills. I wish I had though. What do you think of the group that you ended up being bundled with? The Wolverines, Thunderbirds, and Knights, sort of the Bullets and Corsairs, but they're a bit higher up there. Do you think you were the best team out of the four there, or do you think the season sort of ended up being fairly taken up?
I mean, we had a lot, as you said, we had a lot of teams in the kind of middle spot, fighting for those last spots in the playoffs, and I think definitely everyone was surprised that the Wolverines didn't make it in because
Mm.
they just kind of died out there in the
In the
final
end,
weeks.
yeah.
Yeah. Uh, as for us, I just kind of felt honestly like it was a bit of a coin toss because we just lost a lot of games that we could have very well won just due to luck or be bad, bad game planning on my part or whatever. But I was definitely hoping we'd be in that a bit like 5 wins more. I guess I wasn't really that sold on 50 because I know how the SBA can be.
Yeah.
But stimming above 50 wins was like, okay, we can make the playoffs. That's like I thought we were to in the kind of 10 to 12 seed spot, but obviously it didn't work out. I I, I wouldn't say we were the best of the bunch. Like I think there were some surprises there, definitely.
Mm. Before we go on, I'm actually gonna pause the recording for a bit. So we have returned to a Europe-based voice channel server located in Europe.
I mean, we could have done this for the last couple of weeks as well.
Yeah,
In
but
retrospect.
I think generally I'd like to keep it in the game night if it's just you and me because it sounded good and that also lends it to if anyone wants to come on spontaneously. That's quite good. But less of that and more of the 5 of the week, I guess. And since it has to be league related, and we're of the 5.5 minutes, it's been 4 minutes of non-league related stuff like Ser good and so forth. Anyway, your player is also on the rampage. So what were your thoughts in the Nepto? This is pointed to Nepto since you already gave your sort of oversight on the rampage season. What did you think in the end about where we were on the rampage preseason and where you ended up being after the season ended, Nepto?
I think it's not far off. I didn't expect us to go into the 50s. Really, maybe like 50, 51. That was my definition of low 50s.
Yeah, I think that was it.
High 40s. So in the end, we fell a bit short of it and ended up outside of the playoffs. I think we had a good bunch of unlucky games where we lost like by 3 points on the road for 5 times or something like that to guys like the Corsairs. Right. So generally, our direct competition for the last few spots. And could we have just won one of those games, then we would probably be in. So unlucky, but that's basketball for you.
Yeah.
In general, I think we had a decent season for the talent we have. We weren't like one of the top APE teams by far. Actually, let me look at it. Oh, we are better than the Thunderbirds and Wolverines actually, but still far from the top. And yeah, I think our turnovers kind of doomed us at times, but I don't know how plausible it would be to cut those down.
I think it's quite telling that the Rampage were 16th in offense and 5th in defense. And I don't know if I brought this up back then, but one of the main ideas there is that some of your lesser talented players are in the center and power forward positions in your starting lineup, which are typically the higher scoring efficiency positions as well. So even if you had the best small forward, best shooting guard, and best point guard in the league, it's on offense it could pale in comparison to just the best power forward and best center because they are in a higher scoring efficiency position in the sim engine for whatever reason, because they're tall, I guess, or meant to be playing inside. So that's obviously something that drove the team season, whereas Lundell and Star are very good defensively, and that ended up bearing fruit with the rest of them by being in top 5 defense. Certainly, there, if the team would have been like 2 points per possession better on offense in more of the 10, 11, 12 range, I think it would have been way easy to enter into the playoffs, and you wouldn't have even been in the mix for the 12th spot, rather closer to the home court sides.
Even according to the index, we were the best point per shot team in the league. I don't know how that happened, but yeah.
Best
So it's
point
probably
per
more
shot.
of yeah, at least our team page in the index tells so.
Oh, it does say so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
I mean,
probably a thing of
when I was watching, yeah, like when I was watching The Sims, I noticed a lot of the times we just didn't take many shots. Like we take 80, 90 shot attempts per game, and everyone else was like, yeah, 110.
Mm.
So it's kind of hard to win those games. But I guess that's coming back again to turnovers that kind of really hurt us a lot of times. And like since I think we're last in turnovers, like the worst at that point,
yeah,
according to the
turnovers
index
and
at least.
offensive
Yeah.
rebounds, like those extra possessions.
Yeah, a lot of
That
their
probably made a difference.
Rampage were also number 1 in free throws attempted per game, which just probably is due to or shine some light on why the field goal attempt numbers were so low. since a lot of them are transferred into free throws then instead. Like there's some decent teams here, like the Vipers, they only had 16 free throws attempted per game as a team, and compared to Rampage having 28.9, which is almost double the amount. So it would make sense why. And the Vipers only had 5 or so, 4.8 field goals attempted more per game. Just happened to be way more efficient, I guess.
The Vipers shot a lot of more threes than OKC does.
Yeah.
That's the main difference. That's also where the free throw discrepancy comes from between the Vipers and the Rampage.
Yeah, and I think team free throw percentage of 75.3 is not excellent, but let's see the main guys here. Magnus Ekström, 75.4, so right on team average. And Leon Lundell, only 66.4, even though Lundell took the least amount of free throws of the starting players. I guess if Valano somehow had a free throw percentage in the 90s, that would mean that would almost point to a 0.8 or no 0.4. I can't count. Yeah, if the two highest players, Ekstrom and Valano, had a free throw percentage of 90, that would mean that would give the necessary improvement in offensive efficiency, as far as I can count there, to be in the 9, 10, 11 range instead of the 16 best offense. But yeah, indeed, that's sometimes hard to figure out before the season how it's gonna come down when it's actualized in the sim, anyways. And some players, excuse me, some players outperform their free throw attribute over the course of a season still, which is fun and good for variance, but sometimes you can't trust it. So it's weird like that. So for our first real topic, or pre-planned topic after the Oklahoma City Rampage, let's just make a timestamp here. Intros and a Rampage 1227. Winners and losers of the regular season here. So the biggest winners and biggest losers of the regular season. What comes to mind first when you hear the biggest winner and biggest loser of the regular season? We'll go with Tomato first.
Well, for me, the biggest winner is obviously Joe Cooper, capping off his, what was it, 13-year line carry with another Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
Like, wow. Like, I'll be honest, I hadn't seen it coming, like, not at all. So yeah, that was the most impressive thing to me. And well, I guess we'll see an old friend on top of the West Division. Hard to overlook the Ravens back on top again. Didn't take them long, but I guess no one was expecting them to. So we'll see how the playoffs go for them. And as for losers,
Don't say it.
I mean, I still don't like what the hell is going on with the Ocelot.
Oh,
Like, I
that's
don't
good.
understand it, but yeah, I mean, it's their thing. They know what they're doing, I guess. Just because I don't get it doesn't mean it's wrong necessarily. But I guess just having so many good players and winning 38 games is just mind-boggling for me, I guess. And yeah, I guess that's it for me.
I was afraid that you were gonna say one of the Rampage or Wolverines as the biggest losers for having missed out on the 12th spot, but it's good that you brought up a fresh perspective on the Ocelots. Yeah, sometimes overlooked even because I don't know, maybe they don't make as much noise. I've heard some complaints from Beowulf, but not like real complaints, just like bothersome stuff. What do you think, Nep, though? Biggest winners and biggest losers of the regular season?
I mean, I kind of have to disagree on the Ravens really being a surprise. they were
I
one
mean,
of
I
the
wouldn't
top
say
teams
it
throughout
a,
the
a
last
surprise,
seasons.
but yeah.
Yeah, I
But
don't think Tomato was saying it was a surprise. It was just
yeah,
it didn't take much time at all for them to be back at the top of the West Division.
I mean, they were, in my eyes at least, back from last couple seasons, but that's a different topic for this season. One of the biggest winners to me is Grant Thompson,
Mhm.
because even though he lost the Offensive Player of the Year, I fully expect him to sweep MVP and his positional award. And who knows, maybe even a finals MVP if the Ravens win it. It's most likely going to be his award. Tremendous season from him, and he's still got, I think, one more prime year left to possibly repeat.
Yeah.
So that's one of my biggest winners. The Iron Man are my other big winners of the season, because tremendous season, especially we talked about it before we started. Oko Frost, among others, had a great season for a 5th-year point guard, and yeah, just looking great, possibly for the first championship for Pittsburgh. For the losers, I gotta say the Thunderbirds, because even though they got younger for the future with Zeke and Oscar, they effectively washed away the last prime season of Adekoya and filled a roster around them with inactives, and then Alex Taylor is the only other above average player on the rotation. Ended up missing the playoffs, deservingly so. I think they were the worst of the teams still in pursuit. And yeah, maybe it pays off in the future, but right now you still have a huge age gap between Taylor and the two youngsters, and I don't know if Adekoya is going to play into regression. I don't know what Towns' plan is, if he's going straight to the draft this season or not, to still draft his GM players. So I don't know if it was worth completely falling out of the contention after the last couple seasons, because Tall and Brucker were still fairly young, still up and coming ish from their time frame, and they could have competed for like 2 more seasons and then just wait it out. But it is what it is. I think we talked a lot about this trade already.
Yeah, I think we had, but now that the season, excuse me, wow. Yeah, we're back on. Yeah, now that the now that the season is completed, it indeed is very clear that they threw away, maybe it was on purpose, but you can throw away on purpose. Threw away the last remnants of the excellent, very good championship contending Toronto Thunderbirds teams just for a look into the future instead, which, like we said earlier, is sort of weird with this mix of players, where you have some of the best players in the league or one of the best players in the league, but then you also have just odd depth with not very fleshed out builds and just on their way to the come up, since in the finals they made Alex Taylor was the young player, like up and coming star of the future Thunderbirds championship teams, possibly, but now it's already this season. Alex Taylor was one of the like sort of veteran players that they should have been looking for to like contribute heavily, and Taylor was not in that position yet, I don't think. So it was just Adekoya and 4 other guys, and the win column ended up telling that exact tale, that you have one excellent player and then the rest of the players are on their way to becoming excellent rather than being excellent. So
I mean, to be
they
fair,
were
Taylor
not.
put up 30 points per game on 64% true shooting. That's still pretty good season.
Yeah,
It's not like he was bad, but he wasn't like the all SBA caliber alongside Adekoya.
yeah, like I'm just thinking it in DP or AP terms. and
Yeah.
value to a championship team right now rather than the baseline statistics, because as we've seen, like 30 points per game, some guys do that in the rookie season, etc., or second year, or some guys do that on championship teams, and some guys do that on uh, 2-win teams or whatever it is. So it's not something that I was thinking of for this specific example. But yeah, you're indeed correct there. What did you think about the Thunderbirds, Tomato?
I guess it kind of felt like a bit with TB going IA. I guess Sid just kind of gave up and figured might as well mm, go younger.
Mm.
I think it's something we'll have to like look back at a few seasons from now. Well, because like if the guys he got from the military stick around um and they develop a nice squad, like we could all be uh, very very wrong then, right? But at the same time, they might just leave NFA since it is well false currency. So you never know.
Yeah, and it's a brave decision to be in a position where you are in a like a win now mode, but then sort of unexpectedly and without like major reason, with players under contract like Adekoya and Taylor, you just decide no, this is not what we're going with. So it is interesting indeed, but uh, it's very difficult to balance. Like this is a season where we can win a championship, but then you sort of decide against it completely and say no, we'd rather try and win one in the next 8 seasons rather than play this lottery right this season and then have to figure it out from there. So it is interesting indeed. About the Ironman, yeah, indeed, it's not very common for me to talk about my teams or my players on any of these programs, but I was happy to see that the Ironman offense indeed kept up at the top 2, top 3 level, whereas Nepto thought it was definitely gonna go down. Speaking of definitely, let's just take a look at the Talibakili steals and blocks numbers, or what was it that you were guaranteeing
The
that would go up?
the 3-point
Oh
shot.
yeah, 3-point shot.
Where did
Yeah,
you end up 3-point shooting?
33.5%. So every 3-point shot would have been what is 101.5 offensive efficiency. So yeah, that wouldn't even be worse than the league this season. So excellent.
Went up significantly from
Yeah,
last year.
significantly. Yes, that's the word. Yeah, I think it went up, but not significantly. I wouldn't say it was insignificant, but I wouldn't say it was significant either. Anyways, back to the Ironman. What like we've gone through your expectations on them quite briefly there, but what would you like if someone were to, well, I am here as a host, so I can't just do that. What do you think were the main like reasons and main driving force behind their success? Like, do you think it's just Cassandra Frost being excellent, or do you think there would be anything that's maybe out of the limelight, not discussed as.
Who was it directed towards me?
You both can go, but you can go first. It was first directed to you since you previously talked about it not maybe holding up in the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I think it was a team effort. Obviously, Frost surprised me a bit because if I would have foreseen the stat line, I probably would have voted Frost over PDT in the predictions.
Yeah.
Um, but beside that, the Iron Man's calling card was still their solid defense that's been left over of some sort from the previous regime with Harris and Cannon being pretty good at it down low. Cannon on top of it being one of the better offensive players himself. And same for Harris, who has a decent efficiency, I think.
Now less so this season, but he is still all
63%
right.
true
Yeah.
shooting is still decent to me. And yeah, I think it was a team effort really, with the standouts obviously being Cannon, Harris, and Frost, with Knicks giving some of that veteran guidance, and then I don't know who was even your small forward. Was it Grayson?
Yes.
Just plugging in and not being a liability, I guess.
Yeah, Grayson Boudreau actually ended up being having a true shooting percentage higher than Denver Knicks this season. So all in all, a excellent signing, and much thanks to Stack the Racks for joining us this season. Maybe we can even continue this partnership for next season. What did you think, Tomato, about the Ironmen being on top of the league in comparison to the Ravens there, who are constructed a little differently to the Ironmen, I think.
Well, I think definitely having Cassandra, and having Cassandra be so good so early is like a huge boon. But looking mm, at your stats, at your team stats, uh, it kind of felt like Ironman just didn't let the other, like the Ironman did their best not to let the other team play, because you were second in rebounds, third in defensive rebounds, and third best in turnovers, while at the same time having the second best offense in the league. So like when you can't even get more shot attempts than second best defensive team in the league, there's not a lot you can do to win it.
Yeah.
And I definitely think Cassandra being so good so early definitely helped that. But well, like I guess the heart of the offensive engine still was Cannon after all, and it's just a wonderfully created team, you know. Uh, just team effort on all fronts. No one slacked. Just great team, and I think some people slept on it definitely.
Mm. Well, there's still some sleeping to do because the playoffs could go anyway, I guess. Just to roll back to what you said, Nepto, I don't think Cannon was explicitly very good defensively uh, when I became the GM. I don't think he's excellent now either, but he's very good for his position, so that's all that matters. But Keyshawn
He wasn't an
Harris,
elite guy, but he still had his 80 posty and parry, and I'm a
yeah,
great fan of
yeah.
those stuff.
Keyshawn Harris rather has been one of the best defenders in the league for like 5 seasons now, which is very good. And I was happy that he reverted his retirement decision last offseason as well to uh, give us the best chance of competing for a championship once more here. But yeah, enough of the masturbatory stuff since I'm not a fan of talking about all this, since there's 23 plus the SPDL other teams to talk about instead. Yeah, I guess you both sort of talked about your players so far this season as well, but well, not Ekström. And I think for Lundell, I don't think we gave Tomato any room to talk about. So, in general, what did you guys think about your own players as the development so far this season?
Well,
Yeah.
for Lundell, I guess it's hard to expect more from a rookie. I think he did really well, um, anchoring the defense, being efficient and not taking too many shots. Like that's what I wanted him to do, and he did that very well. I don't think he was the flashiest of the rookies this season, so I don't really expect him taking home the Rookie of the Year award, especially with plays like Perkovic and Gale. But I really liked him. I wouldn't have taken any other player in his place. I guess that's really the best I can say about him.
Very good. I also think it's all gone swimmingly so far for Lundell, and I looking forward to him becoming a better version of himself so far, or like building upon this rookie season. What about Ekström then?
I mean, he's still far off from my efficiency targets, but beside that, uh, that is probably something to do with the build or the team makeup in general. If I
Mm.
were to listen to Jeff's lecture again, yeah, he did decent. He had a actually pretty good defensive season, more than I expected him to, and is like third, or I don't know if Normandy is counting a small forward this season, then maybe fourth, but it's a tight contest on that one. Best small forward in the league this season. Can't complain with it because Robinson and Witherspoon are just the clear tier 1, tier 2 guys or girls in Maya's case.
Mm. Yeah, I think for Ekstrom there's a large amount of free throws attempted already uh, in his current form, and with that free throw percentage getting up a little, that adds to the efficiency. One thing I would be worried if I were you is that you had 2 seasons taking 5.3 and 4.5 jump shots a game, and having a make rate of 42.9 and 40.2 in those seasons, and that's still very volatile, and your jump shot attribute is 72 right now. So even in your year 7, year 8, I wouldn't be surprised if you didn't have as high of a jump shooting percentage numbers. So all you can wish for then is that more of those convert into inside attempts and free throws and 3-pointers rather than um, have such a portion of your field goals attempted from jump shots. But
I mean, it will remain at some point because that's the decision I made with the cap I had to set on his athletics. It's on his quickness. As long as he is on the perimeter, he will still take a decent amount of jump shots. That's part of the build, and so far I'm fine with it. I mean, 40% from jump shooting is all right.
yeah, and yeah, for a player that's 6'10", I think that don't have any tested evidence. I don't believe, but I think being taller makes you more likely to hit jump shots. Just
Definitely,
because, not that it's something off the dribble, but some of the shots are from post ups, but it's just jump shot range.
Yeah,
And being
that's
taller than,
that's what I talked about with.
yeah,
I talked about this with Kayfabe a bit when
yeah,
I was
exactly. I
making
was about to
Lundell.
say.
Yeah, and we talked about Jaws and why he was so good. And like that's the main point. Kayfabe believes is the reason for Jaws' success is just he was tall enough to just shoot over people with jump shots.
yeah,
So when you take the worst shot on the floor, which is the jump shot in FP, uh, and you make it that much better, it's just get 2 points.
yeah. And even so, if it sometimes isn't even a bad shot. Obviously, if you make something 49% of the time, it's definitely not a bad shot. Thinking about it, but some people would think that jump shot percentage and jump shot attempts and jump shot makes just is like watching Kobe Bryant in 2006 or 2007, rather than what it probably actually is if you look at the play-by-play, which means 2-point attempts outside of the paint. So if your feet are on the block and then you do some sort of a pivot move and you find your feet off the block in the mid range, but you just do a little hook shot or a floating jump shot thing, that would be a jump shot in the data. But that's not what people would think of as a jump shot. So, yeah. It's difficult to say, and I'm not even sure that for those hook shots and post shots and floating hook shots, I'm not even sure that the jump shot attribute even makes you likelier to make those. I'm definitely not sure. It just could be that the jump shot attribute makes you better at taking like real mid-range off the dribble type of shots, or even pick and pop sort of shots from mid-range rather than those post-up results. But it is
I,
indeed interesting.
yeah, I always see jump shot as more of a tendency attribute. Like you're going to take more shots in general.
Yeah, I'm not sure
So
if that's
it shifts
really
it
correct, but
shifts a bit more to jump shot as well, but mainly it's a volume driver in my eyes.
yeah, I don't think I've ever like come to that conclusion fully because uh, even if you have 99 jump shot, but as long as you have 99 strength and 99 jumping, you still have sort of a as steady a volume of jump shots taken compared to someone who has a 0 or 35 jump shot. At least some comparable players are Monroe McMahon to Jawalker Santos. But definitely the other guy takes 31 shots a game and the other takes 7. So the numbers are skewed anyways. But yeah, I'm not sure if improving your jump shot makes you more likely to take them as routine, maybe more likely to take them at the end of the shot clock, where instead you don't pass out or try to throw up a lob or something like that, and the player is comfortable taking a mid-range shot. But that's hypothetical anyway.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
less about the art of the shot, but more of the scoring. When the player gets the ball and he has a higher jump shot rating, he will look more to attack the basket or shoot the free or whatever his other attributes influence him to do.
yeah. But it is interesting. So, do you have your jump shot attribute capped as well, or just the athletics?
I mainly have the athletics. Also, I think jump shot is uncapped. Let me actually check. Yes, jump shot is also uncapped.
At
It's got
80?
a 90 cap on quickness and 80
Yes.
caps on rebounding
Oh, it says
and on
that's
handling,
your
passing,
jump
and
shot
free
is
throw.
uncapped.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah. You said uncapped. I thought you said also capped. Yeah, makes sense.
I mean,
Hmm.
I thought about capping it, but in the end, it's the at some point on a stacked team, there's only one way to increase your volume, and it's just bumping up your volume stats. And
And some of the
sometimes
best
that's not
scorers in history, anyways, have had like 99 jump shot for whatever reason. So that's good. All right. Off of player development, sort of derailed the flow of the show here, but we can get back to the playoffs outlook. As we talked about who were left out and who were at the top of the division so far, there's still a lot of teams in the middle of it all competing it out in the next week's SBA playoffs. Um, the first round matchups, those without the bye, are as followed: Boston versus San Diego, Arizona versus Brooklyn, Seattle versus Atlanta versus Seattle, and Las Vegas versus the New York Rail. Um, do you think this first round will quite clearly follow the team with the home court advantage and the higher seeding getting through? Whereas last season we had some weird upsets for people, or do you think there will be more competition between the first bye round of teams? What do you think about this? Let's go to Nepto first.
I'm having a tough time seeing anyone from these first round teams make it past their bye counterparts beside the Inferno and the Vipers, maybe.
Mm,
Inferno still have Shadow Shield as an X factor, even though I obviously believe in Charlotte pulling through. And the Vipers got their still pretty deep team with like a balanced scoring attack and good defense that could be able to offset the Vice, who are the weakest of the four bye teams, but the rest I don't see the Iron Man getting beat by the Rail or Jokers, and I don't see the Ravens losing to the Minutemen or Sash. So I don't really concern myself yet that much with what the first round has in store, because I don't think it will have huge implications for the championship, right?
But for the purposes of this show, we'll ask Tomato then, do you think there's any room for upsets in the first round? Or how do you see it shaping up? Would the Bullets possibly be headed to the second round? Or is Inferno at least that strong, in your opinion?
I mean, I think Inferno is the clear favorite, yeah, but
Hmm.
you know, I can't discount Evans at the same time because I know how
I
good he
can.
is. So okay, well, I still think the Inferno is gonna win that series, but
Yeah.
it might be tougher than some people would expect. I guess in the 4-5 seed, like I could see the Rail winning it over the Jokers, but whoever gets out of that matchup gets to play the Iron Man anyways, so they're gonna be uh having a bad time there. And on the other side of the bracket, I don't see either the Minutemen or the Corsairs winning against the Ravens.
Yeah.
I'm excited to have another because I'm pretty sure that's gonna happen. Or at least I hope it's gonna happen to have another semifinals matchup between the Ravens and the Aviators. I think that could be a fun series.
Yeah, someone's gonna
But yeah,
have
for
to go
first
home
round,
sad.
I don't really see many upsets happening.
I could certainly believe the Corsairs would be able to beat the Minutemen in a 7 game series. I don't find it all too likely, but the Corsairs are just on how I feel about those two sides. I think they're about as good as Boston. They just happen to be or have Jokers and the Rail sandwiched between them in the standings, so they get to play each other in the first round. But the Minutemen also have some of
Yeah,
the
yeah. I just really don't believe. Yeah.
Yeah, I
yeah
mean, on paper, the Corsairs got the third highest APE starting five in the league. It's just a matter of the builds not meshing that well or not being that great so far, but maybe they can find a good game plan now for the playoffs with dedicated game planning to make it work and give us a surprise even against the Ravens. I mean, the Minutemen, they can definitely beat them. I'm actually surprised by Boston doing this well. I believe in Tall and Brecker being great guys, but I didn't expect the rest of the team following suit this strongly.
yeah. And even if the Corsairs would make it to the second round to play the Ravens, Grant Thompson actually would have to go up against a not as like not a player with as much star power, but Makai Jankunas is really good as well. So it would be an interesting battle in there. Well, I guess Thompson wouldn't have to go against Jankunas, or Jankunas wouldn't have to go against Thompson, since they both can play more than one position. But just how it shaped out during the regular season, I, I wouldn't definitely put it past the Corsairs of beating the Minutemen even in a sort of a quicker series. Like I could see Corsairs winning the series in 5, but I could also see them losing in 6 or 7. So the finals predictions then would currently for you guys be I think it will be Ravens against the Ironmen, with the Ravens possibly winning the championship there in 6 games. How do you guys see it? What about you, Nepto? You think the Aviators still have all the juice, or even most of the juice from last season? Or how do you see it right now?
I mean, I said it when we were doing preseason or early season edition
Yeah,
back then. I think the Ravens are still the favorite to win the titles. I think they're the best team in the league. That being said, actually like the prospects of the Aviators matching up with the Ravens because especially the front court is pretty good defensively. Let's call it that, with Einar and Akili to match up with Thompson wherever he goes. And both are not the focal points of the Aviators offense as well. So it's not like Brooklyn Muad'Dib will be able to slog down one of them. And Robinson can feast from the small forward position against King. So I actually like the prospects. I think the Aviators have maybe even the best chance in the league to beat the Ravens, but right now I gotta go with the Ravens against Ironman as well, but in like 5 games.
All right. I hope Tomato is not gonna say Ravens against the Ironman in 4 games. Otherwise, once it happens, I'm gonna seem like I'm delusional. Or better yet, if the Ironman don't even make it to the finals anymore. But yeah. So what say you about the finals predictions, Tomato?
Well, I think the only two teams that can give the Ravens a scare even this season are the Aviators and the Ironmen. I'm expecting a Ravens Ironman finals,
Mm.
but at the same time, I would not be surprised in the slightest if it was Iron Aviators. I don't know. I think the semifinals are going to be the biggest toss up here with the Ravens and Aviators facing each other, especially since they have so much history between each other, and the GMs know how they all match up against each other, and all that stuff. I think I don't really see any team bumping out to Iron Man between the finals.
Yeah.
I really don't. I feel like this side of the bracket is much weaker. And well, what the finals are gonna be? It's hard for me to bet against the Ravens when like literally 90% of my time in this league has been watching the Ravens sweep the finals. So I'm not saying Ravens in fall, but I think it's gonna be I'm expecting 6 games. I think you're
Nice.
gonna be able to sneak one or two.
Yeah.
I don't really think you're gonna win it. I'll be
Home
honest,
court though.
but but you never know. Like FBB is a fickle mistress. Weird shit can happen.
Mm. Winning 2 games, the first 2 games at home, if there was an Ironman against the Ravens final series, it generally would give you a sense of security. But I think just the other year, the team with the home court advantage won the first 2 games and then just lost 4 straight because they lost 3 away, since it goes that way, and then suddenly the uh, game 6 can already be a elimination game. So I'm not sure if the game even takes into account that the pressure goes higher or not, but well, I almost know for a fact that it doesn't, because sometimes it just starts to make these weird substitution patterns by the AI coaches. So yeah, but it's still thrilling. I think the finals format, if the games are tightly contested, even if it goes 2 wins to the home side, then 3 wins to the home side, then it's a completely new series, sort of. Or even better yet, if it's just 2 wins, then 2 wins, then it certainly is an entirely new series, because it's just now we gotta do this thing here, even in a weird format where they still have 1 home game and 2 away games. But yeah, it'll certainly be thrilling. I'm just gonna
It's gonna be
go.
an exciting series, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and say I'm not fully. I don't have full belief that the Ironman will make it to the finals either. So just this all can just be moot in like 4 days' time, just to cover my ass on all this grandeur. I'm
The
not gonna.
Rail are going to rampage through the Iron Man buys and Ravens to win.
Oh
The
yeah,
championship
well,
after this.
I'd be glad. Actually, if that happened, I'd be glad, because that's always fun. And the Rail also had this reputation for doing exactly stuff like that, so it'd be sweet.
Never underestimate Plex.
Yeah, otherwise you have both of them on your side of the table, Oko.
Yeah, but the Vice,
Remember the Boxman
Vice,
season.
yeah. But the Vice are a lot more top heavy this time compared to the Boxman season.
That's
So
true.
it's the same colors and the same gator, but it's entirely different proposition. So see here, I believe Nepto wanted to talk about something happening in the SPDL, more specifically one team being excellent at being bad and another being excellent at being excellent. So the Portsmouth Hydra, after 76 games gone in the SPDL regular season, have won a grand total of 1 games. To my knowledge, they have little to any real players other than Alexei de Sadesky.
They have one, yeah.
And Alexei de Sadesky is, well, some would argue he's not even a real player either. So, and yeah, let's talk about the Hydra from me, the better, because I don't like purposeful tanking, or if you can even call it tanking in a league with no sort of. Well, I guess they do have draft. Anyway, and the Quad City Asylum, on the other hand, are well in the lead in the regular season with 67 wins and 9 losses. They have, that would be 6 games remaining in their season, and are 5.5 games ahead of the Fort Lauderdale Lightning at the moment. So they're running away with the top seed currently. Just a quick note there, Asylum first in offense, first in defense, total domination, both sides of the ball. But what was the contrast here? I guess I laid out the contrast, but what was the deeper conversation here that you wanted to talk about, Neptune?
I mean, it's more or less about the Asylum are a prototype or state-of-the-art SPDL team for the season. They have 2 max earning recreates with MG and Kerm leading the charge. Then they also have the best first gen of the draft class with Dusty Wilson, who is having a pretty good season at center. And then I think even one more uncapped that's barely gotten above 250. And then some rookies or fillers turn to be soon to be recreates for the bench, and it has shown that it's worked to great success, and I fully expect them to be in the finals at least, and also to win the finals. Maybe the Lightning can throw a wrench in there, but yeah, I think it's a masterfully constructed team, and yeah, I'm excited to see how they will do in the playoffs.
I've had like a kind of passing interest, I guess, just stepping away from head coaching. I'm kind of taking a break from paying that much attention. Like I helped out Herman a bit at the start, but like, well, I guess it's kind of depressing seeing the Crusaders back to their old selves a bit this season. But you never know. Maybe he'll he figures it out. But I'm mad that the Hydra won that one game because I really wanted them to just lose all of them. uh, I don't really know what to think about the team. It's just so ludicrous that it's hard to even say literally anything about it, except yeah, they suck, and yeah, Alexei shoots a lot of threes. But I guess that's what they were going for, so good for them. Um, as for the top, I definitely agree. The Asylum have finally figured it out and are just like clearly the best team in the SPDL this season. I don't see anyone except the Lightning, maybe, as Nepto said, uh, even competing against them in any way or form. They're just that good. Mm. It's also like I feel like it's a pretty clear-cut season this time. Like I'd be shocked if the finals were anything other than Asylum Lightning. Uh,
I mean, the Hyenas
and I
got some good players as well with Steve Latimer and Winston, I think.
Oh, definitely. I'm not saying like I'm not saying the rest of the teams are bad, but
There's a
I
stark
just think
difference
if
in the wins.
Yeah,
Like there's
that's true.
tiering.
yeah,
Even from
yeah,
the
like
hyenas to the hounds, even from the hyenas to the hounds, there's a gap of 7 point or 8 wins currently.
like I think the Lightning is like half a step behind the Asylum, and then the Hyenas are like a full step behind both of them, or like another half a step, and then everyone else is just kind of there. Like
Rest of
even
the
looking at
playoff
the wins,
spots, yeah.
it's like 67 for Asylum, 62 for Lightning, 53 for Hyenas, and then the rest of the guys are in the 40s. And there's no really real difference, at least for me, between like the 39 wins Resistance and the 42 wins Whiteout. It's like it's 3 wins, guys.
Hmm. Yeah. So I think the Lightning and Hyenas are pretty much set to be on the same side of the bracket, whereas the Asylum's threat before the finals will be one of the Hounds or the Herd. I think so. It's very difficult to see the Asylum losing their grip on the final spot, and then it's just up to whoever comes out of the other side. And I would say as well to agree with you guys there that Lightning have a better chance of upsetting the Asylum's march to the championship than the Hyenas. But well, SPDL playoffs are always full of more fun because it's less amount of players, more rotation. Fouls sort of count for more, even though they don't. The games are the same, but it feels like stuff like late game fouling can really kill you. And that's still the same in that league compared. Whereas the SBA, it feels like it's always a last ditch effort and it never pays any fruit. Maybe in one or two rare occurrences in the SPI, I remember it happening where the player started with 0 or 1 fouls, and then there was almost no problems, and they actually shot threes instead of getting dunks to make it 2 free throws to 2 points from a dunk. But in the SPDL, it's almost the crunch time feels like real crunch time. Maybe it is because I was the simmer for the SBA games and I know the result beforehand a lot of the times then. But yeah, it just feels more. It feels more um, intensive at times. Maybe it's
Definitely, it's
yeah,
definitely more volatile. Like even with just the 3 game series,
yeah,
like it's just a completely different scenario than 7 games.
yeah. One
Yeah.
upset win in a series can turn the whole thing around, whereas one upset win in a SPA series just means it's 4-1. Like with one win, you're only one win away, but with one win in the SPA, you're still a long way away. So yeah, it's interesting, and I think just by basing it on who are on the Quad City Asylum with Zamora and Rauta Bears, I'm just gonna be de facto cheering for them, and good for them on a great season so far, and hopefully they can tack on a few more wins to make that. Or keep the losses column in single digits. It always looks nice when you have 73-9 or instead of 72-10. 10 somehow on the index it reads much larger than 9 for whatever reason, even though it's one more. You guys have anything else on the Asylum and Hydra or any notable stuff happening in the SPDL currently?
I mean, my stance on the Hydra is pretty much well known.
Mm.
I don't have a problem at all with the type of team. Let's say it like that. They are like building around 40, like say Yeet It All season. I mean, that's the beauty of especially of the SPDL. You can do just that and don't really care about team success because whatever draft pick you would be getting in the SBA or how far out of the playoffs you would be landing, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But I still can criticize as someone that's been involved with the league for a long time that you have like half the team that's inactive without any attribute updated at all. Like if you look at the team page, there are many guys with just 35s everywhere and 20s left and right. You can definitely fill those with fillers. Someone always can create one if you actually contact people additionally or pick up some of the inactive free agents that have something updated. I think
Yeah.
the Hydra didn't have to be this bad. Is it a huge difference in the end if they are winning one game or if they're winning 12 games? Not necessarily for the outcome, but I still think from the mentality and the team build, it would make a big difference. But yeah,
Something
everyone can do their own.
Yeah, something that I need to discuss with Abaddon actually is that if he sort of expects that he can have this number of field goal attempts and this number of efficiency almost at any point during his SBA career, because this is a tailor-made production. This is not. This is like a controlled environment. Whereas in the SBA, unless you purposefully just try to do some Sky Terry stuff, even that's sort of waned some in my eyes, at least. I still like the gimmick, but the novelty is weaning off. But what's gonna happen in the SPA? What do you really expect to do? Like you can't have 11.5 3-point attempts as a center in the SPA unless you have a team constructed like this. And if you have a team constructed like this, you can only do that for one season before there's all sorts of warnings or rule changes even, and then
or any
what
other
comes
active
next?
on the team that might not be that happy to just be the passing bot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the more pressing issue. I don't
I'm
think
sorry,
there
guys,
will
but
be
I'm
any
gonna
real
have to go.
change to it.
Yeah, no problem. It's already been an hour, so thanks for passing by and see you around again.
Okay. Yeah.
See you, man.
See ya.
Thanks.
Let's just wrap this topic up, and I think then we've got enough.
Yeah.
I think you can definitely have like the efficiency. I mean, I've tested it for myself with a similar build, not exactly what he is doing right now, but a center with no athletics at all and relying on his jump shots to make his contributions offensively, then with a bit of like rebounding and defense and passing sprinkled in to still be like a serviceable player that contributes to winning. That can definitely work in the SBA, but obviously you shouldn't expect to have 30 field goal attempts every game and be able to put up 30 something points per game
Yeah.
for more than one season, or you just hop to the worst team in the league that has no other active beside you, like a Joe Cooper-esque season.
Yeah. Yeah, certainly interesting because, yeah, like I said, I don't foresee anything like this happening again. And just making a player build and for this is corny enough, but making a player build, and if he actually believes that he could achieve even love to call it success because they are 1-75, but success like this in the SBA, it's not on the cards, I don't think. At all. Yeah, thankfully for, well, not thankfully. Thankfully for, I'm just gonna say thankfully since I've said it 3 times now. Tomato's contributions, we sort of had this hidden pact before we started that we wouldn't mention Joe Cooper, but Tomato already went ahead and mentioned Joe Cooper, and now Nepto has already mentioned Joe Cooper, and now yeah,
We would getting to him
yeah,
in some way.
yeah. Even if we try to stay away, we ended up with Joe Cooper here. Congratulations on a fantastic career. It's been very weird, and I wouldn't have done anything like that myself. But it's been quite fun to like be a passenger for and just a fan of it on the sidelines so far. We're just gonna cap this off with the obituary sort of thing for the famous Vancouver Wolverines teams of the past, where Xavier May Jones and the above mentioned Joe Cooper are now retiring after like 27 seasons in the SPA. And also, on a side note, Einar Hilmarsson is also retiring, was a small part of the Wolverines teams of the past. Other notable players on their way out are some of them, I think almost most of them have their recreate in the upcoming draft as well. There's OG Amaru, a very gifted defensive player, small forward freak, but I think was most effective playing center for the 1 Battalion team some years ago. Then Alvin Mack, who was basically the best player on the Houston Ravens of season 58. Or, yeah, that's last season, 57, no? Anyways, that season, 57, yeah. And then you have former Finals MVP, or is it Playoffs MVP, Orlando Villoria IV, also retiring this season.
Also a two-time positional award winner.
Yeah.
To add to it.
Yeah, I guess Einar Hilmarsson is also a reigning Finals MVP. So that's
True.
good. Yeah. And then to cap off our trident of former final MVPs retiring, we also have Edward Craven Walker, who, funnily enough, decided against joining the Pittsburgh Ironmen some seasons back, and then spent 2 seasons, I don't think even winning a playoff game at all. So big ups to my man Edward there. Let's just see how many. I'm sure the Jokers made the playoffs last season, though, no?
Yes, they made the playoffs. They even made the conference finals in the end, the semifinals.
Oh, yeah. Since they beat the Rail 4-0 clean, yeah. So they actually won like 10 playoff games last season, so no worries there. That's more than worth it, I guess. Yeah, but this season, like we mentioned earlier, Wolverines missing the playoffs just by a tiniest bit, so no more fun for him. Also, another fantastic big man defender turned a good all-around. Which position is he playing this season? Center or Alexei Frost? Anyways, is the player I'm talking about.
I think he's playing center.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say as well. Let's see here. Yes, center. Also retiring. Marcus. Almost said it wrong. Alexander Marcus, not a former playoffs MVP since Edward Craven Walker took that crown in the season 56 finals, but a MVP award winner, I think.
Yes, MVP and center of the year of last season.
Yeah.
A two-time champ for the Vice and one of the main guys of that core.
Yeah, and still pushing on in the playoffs this season as the Vice get a bye in the first round. So excited to see how it all shapes up for him in his last games. Other notable players here: Jack Straw, currently of the Mexico City Ocelots, and then one of the most underrated players of the past some time, Titus Truffant, still playing for the New York Rail, and still being, I would say, as effective as ever with defensive numbers out the ass, points per game at a career high of 28.2, and the 3-point shooting even in a respectable 40.1. So a massive group of good to great players on their way out, and most of them already having a recreate up and coming in this draft. So maybe there's going to be a lot more interesting and sort of new blood type of things in the next season and 5 seasons of the SPA, which will be very interesting.
I think the draft class is very much stacked with recreates due to the GM player change for once, and also a bunch of top users retiring and recreating. So definitely going to be a bloodbath in a couple of seasons when all those guys hit their prime.
Have you seen Danger Golding mention anything about if he's gonna do a straight to the draft thing?
Yes, he is going straight to the draft.
Yeah. So there's
he
one more.
He mentioned it a couple of times in the Discord, I think, and even made an announcement or something like that.
Nice. So there's going to be a ton of new players coming into the league in the upcoming draft, which makes me a very happy camper with 2 high lottery draft picks. Yeah, I guess that'll be all for now. Next week we're going to talk about free agency and the draft and the playoffs culminating. If that's all right with Nepto, if we can figure out a time to do a recording next weekend as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. He says for sure. So now there's no going back on this one.
Somehow we will always get it done.
Yeah, I think we did the same gag last week, where you were saying just yeah, blah blah blah, yeah, for sure, and I caught you on something not for sure. But what's for sure that this episode's in the book. Thanks for listening. A goodbye from me and by Nepto.
Goodbye, everyone. See you again at some point.
Ser good. See you guys around. Thanks for listening.